Hello and welcome to the live Q&A session with John Kirkconnell, PJ Turner, the Wild Westie Yuval Yaary, and myself, who you know as DJ Justin. We're now live on the West East Europe Discord server. Hello to everyone that's joined the server literally in the last 5 minutes. We're on Facebook. You go to Yuval Yaary's live page, you can see him there. And also, we're also on the West Coast Swing page, and you go to West Coast Swing and click on the live. This is an audio-only live stream. There's no video. You should be naked in bed, you can be in a dressing gown, or whatever you want to do. There's no webcams here, so you're nice and safe. My biggest thanks to Andreas, who's been setting all the technical stuff up for this live stream today. And also to Toppy from Finland, who's keeping an eye on the Facebook and the YouTube, just in case there's a few comments there to read out as well. Now, before we start, we've got to do a bit of housekeeping before we start today, so you know how this Q&A will run. Now, if you want to ask a question, you must be in the West East Europe Discord server. And you can find that link to join on the Facebook event page. I think we're posting up on comments right now on Facebook and YouTube. And we can't take any submissions, as you see, we don't have the eyes to look at all the screens. So you've got to be in a Discord server. When you ask a question, please say your name, where you're from, and then your question. Yuval will then ask John and PJ to answer it. You can also message in questions via the Questions Here text channel, which is just below this, and it's the first one on the list. If you're asking a question, keep them as broad as possible, and we'll make sure it's not too detailed so the rest of the audience won't feel left out. We won't be taking any questions on politics or West Coast Swing politics. There's enough forums and places to discuss that already. And finally, if you're in the voice chat right now, and I can see there's loads of you, please keep your mic muted at all times unless you are asking a question or responding to a follow-up if John or PJ needs more info. We've got people watching, and if you don't abide by the rules, you'll be taken out of the voice chat or even the server. So that just leaves one thing, to introduce your moderator and presenter for this evening. It's all his idea, and I'm honoured to be involved. It's Mr. Yuval Yaary.
Thank you so much, Justin. And thanks for all your help, really. Thank you, Andy, for the live stream and for the tech support. Thank you, Toppy, for your help with the moderation. And a big thank you to everyone joining us here on all channels. We're so grateful to have you here with us. I'm very proud to introduce our guests who took the time to be here with us tonight. Please keep your mic muted at all times unless everyone joining us here on all channels. Justin can take care of that. I'm very proud to introduce our guests. Took the time to be here with us tonight. Thanks. Justin can take care of that. Okay.
If you want to carry on, I'm muting people as we...
Okay, sure. Sorry for that. So, without any further ado, let's introduce our dear guests for tonight. In the right corner, it's PJ Turner.
And that was... PJ, can you hear us?
PJ? Great.
I didn't... He's not muted, so, and I've unmuted John as well, so those two are there. PJ, can you hear us? Let's move on to John. I think John's here, so John,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just introduced John. I'll message PJ
So,
now.
We have, on the other corner, John Kirkconnell.
Woo! What's going on, everybody? How you doing? How you doing, Yuval?
Great. How are you?
Very well, thank you. It's nice. It's an odd feeling to be back in the world of dance for right now, but I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for involving me in it.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for doing this for us. It's really great to have you here. And yeah, it's a very rare occasion, right? In those days, those weird days, to have everyone here.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
It's a pleasure to have you both here with us tonight, and we can start by you telling a bit about yourself and about your West Coast Swing careers.
All right. I mean, I'll start here. I'll get moving. So, well, you say good night, right? It is evening over there. See, for me, it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, for you it's morning,
Um,
right?
so my West Coast Swing career, I started West Coast Swing at the tail end of when I was in high school. So I've been doing West Coast Swing now for 21 and a half years, I guess, which is insane to think of. But I started because my dad he's been a professional dance teacher for, I think he's up in the neighborhood of 54 years now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
That's a
so and
lot.
he teaches everything under the sun. He teaches all the ballroom and Latin dances.
Hey, man, you're
And
right.
uh, what's that? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard Justin there.
I
So
think he asked PJ. Never mind.
gotcha. So he teaches all the ballroom and Latin dances, all the swing dances. Like myself, he's stayed away from the country dances.
Hey, man, let's see what's going on.
Oh, we there? All right. So yeah, I started in high school, and I had it was relatively popular decision that I made amongst the girls in the school that I wanted to start partner dancing, and so it didn't take me long to find a couple girls who wanted to try to learn, and I started then taking my dad's teacher training course, and I learned well, most of the ballroom dances and the Latin dances. And as soon as he came back, actually, shout out to Tara Trapster. As soon as he came back from Monterey Swing Fest one year, I think it was 1999, he showed the teachers training group some West Coast swing, and or maybe it was 2000. Anyway, I think it was 2000. Anyway, showed us some West Coast swing, and I kind of kept it going from there, and I didn't do anything else. And so I started taking lessons when I could and learning from my dad in the living room, and then just stuck around the local scene here with our local swing dance club and
Did
some of
you
the local
already
studios.
have a West Coast swing scene there back then, or not really?
Yeah, we had a good one. I mean, I would probably say even back then we had a community of, I don't know, a couple hundred for sure. For
In
sure.
Vancouver,
Nice.
right?
Yeah, so I'm going to leave
Yeah.
my sort of video.
Yeah, in Vancouver. Yeah. So
You're born and raised in Vancouver.
yeah, exactly. It's I wasn't born here, but yeah, the swing dance club here has been around for a long time. Well, long for Canada, I guess. So yeah, I did that, and then kind of just started teaching, but not started teaching by myself. I actually, one of the things that's I can answer or talk about later, but I started really just paying attention to how my dad taught classes and how he ran a group setting and the difference between a private lesson and something else. And so I was really trying to pay attention not to the content as much as how he communicated to his students. So anyway, went through that, and then had a few dance partners kind of in my younger years of West Coast Swing, mostly local followers. Wonderful lady by the name of Pamela Podmaroff, who is up here, another lady named Lily Harned, who is amazing, and then that led me all the way to Alyssa, and kind of falls down the line.
How did you meet Alyssa?
Goes down the line from there, and yeah, it's been a wonderful journey.
How did you get to meet Alyssa for the first time?
Well, that's I had seen a couple of videos of hers, and like everybody who's ever seen Alyssa, looked there and
Yeah.
was amazed by what she could do, even, and that was in 2011.
You cannot miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah. And so I'd seen her, and I, was someone that I'd seen around, and I wanted to have a dance with her, and I ran into her finally at, I believe it was Sea to Sky. I think it was the first year, if I'm not mistaken, that Sea to Sky got brought down to Seattle. And I met Alyssa she was dating a gentleman at the time who was taking a private lesson. I believe it was from Kyle, could have been Jordan, but I can't remember, to be honest. And while they were doing the lesson, they were working on something, and we had a second, so I asked if she wanted to go have a dance. And we had a couple dances, and they were good, and whatnot. And I was trying to persuade her to come up to Swingcouver the next year, and anyway, wasn't able to convince her. But we decided we would do a strictly swing at Capital Swing in Sacramento. But before we were going to do that, we would take the Thursday night, and she was going to pick me up at the airport, which her car broke down on the way to pick me up, and then it was quite a starting point. And we went and
interesting.
yeah, and we went and had, I don't know, probably danced for about an hour and a half, just on our own in the corner of the dance floor there. I remember a friend of ours, a guy named Marcus Schwartz out of Boston, was standing and he was watching our first kind of like dances together. Anyway, we decided kind of right there that we wanted to try doing the whole partners thing, and it turned out pretty well for us.
Which year was that?
That would have been February of 2012 at Capitol Swing in Sacramento.
Nice, wow. And the rest is history.
I guess so. There's lots along the way, but yeah, that's kind of the crux of where it started. Yeah, you betcha.
Wow. And what have you been doing since March, since everything was shut down?
Well, I started my own company because I hold in very high regard the professionals that are able and so committed to doing the online coaching. For me, I wasn't able to go down that road for a number of reasons, some a little bit more personal than others, but it's really hard for me to build up the energy that I want to share with people properly. So I have the occasional dance with my wife at home, or I definitely watch quite a bit of either lesson recaps or other pros dances and stuff like that. But I actually started my own company at the end of October, which coincides with a lot of the skill sets that I've learned from either running Swingcouver or being involved at different capacities for different events. And I started my own coordination company. So I actually work on construction projects at hospitals, coordinating the either new equipment or transferred equipment and where it needs to go and who needs to move it and where is it coming from and when's it getting in. And it's quite involved. It's a very different avenue than I've ever traveled before.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm really enjoying it and something different.
Yeah, and it's very relevant nowadays, right? To get a lot of work with all the hospitals, probably.
Exactly. Yeah, very true.
Does your wife dance too?
Yeah, absolutely. She's a classically trained ballerina. She started in Lindy Hop years and years ago as well. She met like Nicholas King and Matt Ritchie and all sorts of people. And she used to dance with. She used to live in the Bay Area as well. And so she's an incredible dancer. She's phenomenal.
Oh, nice. Momo says, "Congratulations for your new company."
Thank you, Momo.
Is PJ ready already? I don't know. Doesn't seem that way. Okay, so we'll just continue. John, we had first questions from the audience. I have a question from Roger from London. He's asking two questions. The first one is, hey guys, what are the best tips for people wanting to give West Coast Swing a go?
Well, I guess, part of what it's all got to come down to, Roger, which, by the way, Roger, hi, how are you? Nice to hear from you. Tips for people who want to give West Coast Swing a go. Exposure to West Coast Swing is obviously, it seems to be globally the hardest thing, right? It's, as far as if they want to give it a go, I don't know what restrictions are in your area, Roger, compared to other places in the world. For example, if we lived in New Zealand, we could all go dance with each other with no masks on. But to give it a go, it really try to make it feel welcoming. I think one of the things that I would say helps to keep people wanting to come back is to make it something where they consider it a social outlet for themselves. And so, when they're first starting to come out to classes, heading out for a cup of coffee after, or tea, or in my case, beer or a glass of wine, and really trying to create that sense of community between individuals, I think is really important to try to get them to keep going. But as far as to get them to give it a go in the first place, it's really just about, getting it out for people to see. And whether that's little performances or whether that's, dances, big social dances that are held in a little bit more public place, that can be an option as well.
Cool, great. These are really great tips. And the next questions from Roger is, for West Coast swing dancers that are already dancing, what things should they work on to make progress in competitions in each different division?
Well, okay, so I mean, in a general sense, it's going to be a personal, individual response. I would say, obviously, from any pro that you talk to, I think you're going to get, a different answer. Maybe not completely, but anyway, you're going to get a different answer. I think one of the biggest things that followers, all the way into the advanced division, one of the biggest focus points is how they change direction. And so what timing sequence they're being asked to switch their direction. And so whether they're switching direction from forward to back or back to front or side to side, obviously that's a huge tool for the leaders to be able to ask those questions. But I think a follower, as they progress through their divisions, really needs to learn how that reaction works and how the backside hip responds to the opposite sided knee. And so how the bending of one knee to the response into the follower's hip, how that works. And so as far as a leader, as blatantly plain as I can be, and after 21 years of watching, it's still something where I would say, especially in those lower divisions, that timing is absolutely key. And as the dance grows, as it gets better, I would say one of the harder things, both for leaders and followers, is to be able to texture whether they want to accent their boom tick on their 2s, 4s, 6s, and 8s, or whether they're looking a little bit more for the melodic, swing through your 1s, 3s, 5s, and a lot of your vocal recognitions that'll happen at those moments. But I would say probably being able to diversify between those two. A lot of times individual communities, I find, get stuck one way or the other. And so you'll get certain places in North America that are very boom tick oriented as far as hitting that upbeat. But they have a harder time when something more lyrical and whatnot comes into a song, whereas a lot of places in Europe have a tougher time with the boom tick and the clack of the song, but they have a much better time with the body mechanic that goes into the melodic areas on your downbeats.
And you would say it's probably because they're used to a different type of music.
Absolutely, that plays a part in it. You betcha.
Yeah, I guess you'd probably say they also need to get used to accentuating different things in different songs and getting used to new music, right? Things that maybe they didn't hear so much before.
Totally, absolutely, spot on.
Yeah, well, these were a lot of tips. You covered it like amazingly, really. Justin?
Yep.
I think Justin's trying to say something. Do you try to say something?
Yeah, we've got another question. I've been personally messaged
cool.
this one. It's come through to my Facebook Messenger. Mateo in France. I've lost motivation to practice my dancing. How do I get back into it? I'll just put that on the screen for everyone to read as well.
Yeah.
So Mathieu, yeah, you know what? If I would be lying to you right now, which is not really my personality, I would be lying to you, Mathieu, if I told you that at moments throughout the last year, if I hadn't lost motivation on occasion as well. And I think I'm gonna assume that most of the people in this group or most of the people that we all know have had at least moments of that. If you're finding that it's taking a bigger hit in longer periods for you, I mean, the biggest thing that I can say to stay connected is try it. How do I phrase this? Try to involve yourself. If you're losing a little bit of motivation to practice the dancing, try to involve yourself in some of the social aspects that happen online. Is some of the time, that same movement, and you can't correlate that with a partner or anything like that. And again, I know everyone will always say, you don't have to have a partner. And that's true. But I would say try to involve yourself. There's certain things that'll happen online, whether that's, and again, to bring her up one more time, I promise she's not paying me, but like Tara Trapser does, either a weekly or bi-weekly fun history thing. And it's not even about dancing. It's about the connection that we have together, like as the people in this community. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we've lost along with the whole, whole not dancing at all thing, but we've lost that social aspect together. And so I would say also pick, some of the pros maybe that you didn't used to watch as much. So let's say you used to watch Jordan and Benji and Kyle. Well, maybe watch Sean and Courtney a little bit, or Maxime and Tori. I don't know. I'm just throwing out names and see if you can find some of the aspects of dancing that maybe you hadn't noticed before, and then see, maybe check out some of their tutorials and stuff that maybe they have online. But I would be lying to you if I said I also haven't had moments of losing motivation.
Test.
Oh, I believe PJ's
Hey!
joining us.
PJ.
Hi,
PJ Turner has joined us.
I was hoping you weren't going to be here the whole time, PJ.
I mean, if we need to reschedule, man, I can totally reschedule. Go
Yeah, guys, do you want to postpone it every 1 to 2? Hi, PJ.
Hi, everybody. I was going crazy on my pleasantries, and next thing you know, y'all was just saying, PJ, are you there? Are you there? And then all of a sudden it was like, all hell broke loose on tech stuff. So anyway.
We were just coming off the back of a question, PJ, so we're going to go straight into the Q&A to keep it on track.
Fantastic.
And John was just answering this question. He's just finished it. He go, Matteo, from France. He said, I've lost motivation to practice my dancing. How do I get back into it? And sort of John was covering a lot of areas and stuff. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, John, I don't know really what all you have said yet, but I would lie if I told you that I've been motivated this entire time. There's been times where I totally, I have missed dancing extremely bad on some days, and other days I am extremely glad I'm home and I don't do a lick of dancing at all. And then I don't miss it. So at this point, the one things that I would definitely look into is, try to find what it was that you remembered about missing, or I'm sorry, when you really enjoyed to dance. What was it that brought that back? I mean, unfortunately, because of this time, it was the people, or it was dancing with someone, or it's the connection, or, sometimes we just have to find self-motivation and work on ourselves, which is obviously very difficult. No, everybody wants to be a part of a big, social life and social gathering. And sometimes it's really hard to work on our own individual self. And that's extremely hard. But that's what I would definitely look into as far as that is concerned, is find out what it was for you that you missed. What was it that brought you to dance? What was the enjoyment that you felt when you learned something new, or when you was going through a particular movement, or you love to dance particular songs? Find those things that you can definitely look into. Listen to that music that inspired you. Sometimes it just makes you feel like you want to move. So those are the things I would definitely look into first. Call some friends and have a kind of a buddy check in and say, hey man, just wanted to see, did you learn anything new this week? Did you do anything? Did you dance at all? Did you just play a song and move? Did you learn any kind of other styles of dance? And there's all kinds of opportunities out there right now, as far as virtually, to practice in your own living room, with those type of movements, and trying to find yourself in that mindset. Just trying to get something back like that is something that I definitely have been, into. I've been learning a ton over this past thing. So I've been working on a lot of my knowledge, not necessarily my own dance, if you will. That's something that I personally have been doing.
And
That's
also we've had Roger, who sort of messaged us via Facebook saying, could PJ answer Roger's questions as well that you asked earlier, Yuval?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Roger. So, PJ, Roger's questions were, first, what are the best tips for people wanting to give West Coast Swing a go? Start with that, and then give it the second one.
Okay, so what are the best tips to give West Coast new people a West Coast swing to try to get them in? Is that the question?
People wanting to give West Coast swing a go.
Okay. All right. If people are wanting to try, what are tips to try to encourage people to start West Coast swing? You know, I would ask them, you know, if they enjoy being around people. Do they enjoy music? Do they enjoy, you know, social? Do
Right.
they enjoy partner dancing? Do they enjoy, you know, I would try to find what that person is, what they're like, what are their likes in their own life, and then try to associate West Coast swing to some section of their life. You know, that's something that I would definitely try to do. Have a conversation with someone
Mhm.
and just stating, hey, you know, this is so great because this can help you inside of this part of your life, or this can help in this. And if you're an introvert, oh man, we got tons of introverts. If you're an extrovert, man, we got a ton of extroverts. You know, it's just it's a really cool way to try to get to meet new people, create a new hobby, um, you know, and enjoy being around others. You know, those are going to be my couple of suggestions on tips on how do we get someone to give it a go. Is get to learn them, get to see and associate why West Coast swing can help them, or you know, bring them into West Coast swing. Of you know, and what's the word I'm looking for? To work on themselves. You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's one way to
Okay.
look at it.
That sounds smart. I'm sure it will convince a lot of people. And no, I was serious. Don't laugh. So the next question was for West Coast swing dancers who are already dancing. What things should they work on to make progress in competitions in each different division?
uh, well, that's kind of loaded. All right. So ultimately, if you're looking for competition, um, you know, what can you do as far as work on your own dance, as far as understand what technique is, understand your timing, understand, and listen, we all have problems with understanding true. There's so many different informations that's out there. So many different instructors talk about different techniques and different
Mhm.
timings. You
For
know,
sure.
my thing to say to people is this is kind of how I approached, you know, dancing routine base is get yourself a team of coaches that
Mm.
help not just collaborate, but that complement each other. And that way you're not getting, you know, a ton of information that is super conflicting. So I would work on trying your best to gain yourself or get yourself a group of coaches. And I'm talking from 3 to 5 coaches. Again, that's all very complementary. So I have my coaches for performance. I have my coaches for technique. I have my coaches for, you know, for understanding uh, how I want to use uh, technique and performance. I gain a lot of different things. Like I was going to Deborah Seke for certain things. I was going to Kyle Red for certain things, Benji Schwimmer for certain things, Robert Royston for certain things, and pick the strengths of those coaches that they're very, very good at because they're all brilliant in their own way. But you know, use those guys for your own dancing, so that way you can help improve on yourself. And ultimately, like you know, we say competition. What can I do to help myself in competition? Well, eh, you know, to me, that's a loaded question because, you know, what judges are you going to have in that competition? You
Yeah,
know, what's going
true.
to make that judge happy? Like, I mean, the thing is if you're happy with your dance and you're happy with how you're improving, if your partners are happy, you know, you're already winning in that book. Like, you don't need a first placement to prove that. The first placement is, you know, a cherry on top. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to win. That's why we compete. But you know, I mean, the concept there is to me, godly, like get yourself a group of coaches, work with those coaches, work on yourself, work on your tech, work on your timing, work on your musicality. These are all things you can do individually to help improve yourself that should, in theory, help you improve inside of competition.
Nice. Wow, that was really deep. It's like, it reminded me of what you told me back then in Krakow when we did this interview, and I asked you, will I ever make it out of novice? Do you remember this one?
Oh yes. Everybody wants to get out of novice, and unfortunately, it's the freaking hardest division in the world because that's where everybody starts, and it's hard. So I mean, I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
I've had another question come in.
It helped what you said back then.
I've had another question coming from Europe. I've had another question coming from Europe. But before I ask that, is there anyone on the voice chat that wants to unmute and ask PJ or John a question? You've got these guys here. This is
Hold on. I have to bring this up to PJ really quick. Hey, PJ.
Oh no. Yeah.
On the left side, you'll see everyone's name who's in the chat with us. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
There's someone whose name has, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but if they did, I'm dying laughing here. They have, their screen name is Mintu.
Oh.
It's a real name.
But you know why I find that not funny at the name, but Mintu is the liquor in Finland, is it not? That PJ, that we had a great time hanging out with Mintu?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And Mika. Mintu and Mika.
The same person, yes.
Oh man. Mintu.
Toppy's on the channel. Can you confirm this or not?
Yes, I'm the same person.
Toppy's officially died by the looks of it. Toppy?
Mintu is saying she's the same person, guys.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, look at that. That's funny. I understand. It's awesome. It's a great name, Mintu.
As we've got no questions coming, we'll ask this one from anonymous from Europe is what they put in my messenger. Anonymous in Europe.
Okay.
It's not even a controversial one. Name one of your most. After we do this answer, we'll take a break as well. But Anonymous in Europe asks, name one of your most memorable social dances and why.
Goodness gracious!
Ooh. Wow.
Name
one of my most memorable social dances.
I would probably say for me, it was the first time, maybe it was the second time. No, it was the first time that I ever got to have a social dance with Marianne Nunez. It showed me something that I'd never seen or felt before. It was truly an indication of how rhythm sets can be influenced, or how pattern structure even can be influenced by the followers. Understanding of what your initial question was as a leader and how they can then positively influence the outcome. She was and is truly one of the most unbelievable followers, not just to watch, but yeah, that first experience dancing with Marianne Nunez is right up there with any dance I've ever had, just as far as experience and whatnot goes. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Golly. I have a lot of favorites for many different reasons. And I can't say that they stand out one way or another way from anyone else. I could tell you the competition, who I was dancing with, some of them, hell, I could even tell you the songs I was dancing to them with. But I mean, if I have to say my most memorable social dance, Rose City Swing 2017 with Tashina, like the Jack and Jill that we did. That's probably my most memorable because of what the weekend brought up. There's a very deep story that goes into that particular dance. And I could give you the story in a nutshell if y'all wanted, but it was that dance alone, I think was a combination of a culmination of a lot of different things. Number one, that weekend, Tashina and I were probably in our worst argument ever as a partnership. And I mean, we had, this
Okay.
massive argument match, and it was just, we just in so many
Was it
disagreements
professional or
about.
personal?
Oh, I think it was kind of all the above. It didn't matter what it was. I think me and her were just tired of each other at this point, and every partnership goes through it.
Wow. Okay.
Every single partnership goes through it, and if they don't, they're lying. But for whatever reason, it was fate. There was something that just happened. Like, me and her, we drew each other. And it was.
How did you feel at that moment, by the way?
When I drew her name,
Yeah.
Not the happiest, if you will, but it is what it is. Like I'm very, and this is all in the moment. Listen, this is all in that moment.
Yeah, of course.
I love dancing with the girl. She's amazing. And so, but at that moment, I was like, man, why does this happen? I felt, that our classes didn't go good. I felt like, our click was not good. Like we just did not in sync the whole weekend. And man, we got together, and I mean, that dance alone, the moment we just connected, it was like, okay, I think it was us just calming down. It was us thanking each other through our bodies, through our movement, and we created something that was just beautiful. And I have to say that was probably one of my more memorable moments, I have to say, over my career, in a lot of different ways. And man, after that dance, we received this particular type of applause, and it's kind of what we just did, and it was brilliant. I loved it. I loved the moment. It was just me and her on the floor. I didn't care about the audience. I didn't care about my peers. It was just me and her, and I focused in on her. And I think that was a big thing for me. It was a big learning lesson for me personally that, pay attention to your partner. It's pretty simple, but sometimes we forget that. So I love her to death. I miss her dearly. And yeah, that's probably my most memorable moment.
Oh, that's a really big one. So this is something you learned a lot from.
I did. I learned a ton from it. And again, that's not taking away from all the other amazing, incredible dances that I had. But if I had to kind of boil it down to one, then I would say that's definitely in my top 10.
Oh, wow, that sounds like an amazing story. I think that's a good one to take a break with, right, Justin?
Absolutely, Sandras. If you're listening, you need to mute the live streams of Facebook and YouTube so don't get kicked off those platforms. And this song is brought to you by Swing Couva, or Swing COVID, I'm told, John, 2021, and Atlanta Swing Classic 2021. Is it true you're calling it Swing COVID, John?
Yes, we did go with Swing COVID for this year only. And next year, I think it'll probably be Swing Cougar 2022, The Cure, I think is what we're going to go with.
Swing COVID is over, hopefully.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're very politically correct here, okay?
Welcome back. Oh, hello. Welcome back to live Q&A with PJ and John. That's Justin not watching his decks properly, and for a DJ that's really bad. The really strange thing is that there's a timer on Facebook saying I've got 20 seconds remaining, and a timer on YouTube says 34 seconds remaining. So I think we'll carry on. Yuval, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Justin. So the next question is something I want to ask you guys. As you're both EDs, both have your own events, I wanted to ask you if they're coming back next year and everything's okay, because I know a lot of events got hit by COVID. So I want to ask where are things standing?
Want to go first there, Peach?
Well, yeah, I can go first. So my event, Atlanta Swing Classic, is held in October. Normally, we're the first or second weekend of October. And this year, let me give you an opinion first. Let's leave Atlanta Swing Classic out of this. I really do believe that 2021 is going to be a wash overall. I think that there's so many unanswered questions that I think there's going to be a ton of people in the not known until obviously this whole pandemic can come to some type of a closure, or until there can be a handle on it. So with that being said, as far as my event is concerned, we're still kind of up in the air at this moment. We have events that are canceling still now for this year. Mad Jam just put it out a few days ago that they're canceling. And honestly, I think that, depending on here in the United States of America, whenever they're going to be, sending out vaccines, how is the vaccines going to be distributed? How is it that is everyone going to be able to have been vaccinated by late summer, early fall? We just don't know at this moment. So because of that, I got a feeling that most events this year, again, this is just my personal opinion. This is not a professional opinion. I feel that most events will still probably have to cancel this year. But that's kind of where I stand on that right now. So that's really about all I got to say to that question.
Okay.
I think I would probably add parts of. First of all, if you live in New Zealand or Australia, you're going to get events. So I'm shaking my fist at them.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I think one thing I completely agree with PJ that I would say that this year is pretty much going to be a wash. And exactly for the same reasons. There's just too many unknowns. And I do think that, we're probably going to lose a lot of people from the community, to be honest. That's what my guess would be. And that's really unfortunate. I do think, though, that one positive, hopefully, that comes out of this is people taking an introspective look as to what it was about the events that drew them. And so as a promoter, looking forward, would I love to be able to say, or, I'm going to guess that PJ the same, that, shoot, when it comes back, and let's hope for 2022, that when it comes back, it goes back to exactly the same as we had it before, and it's got the same feeling, and we present the same things. But as a promoter, there's an inherent risk, whether you're running a big convention like Atlanta Swing Classic or Swingcouver, or whether you're running a workshop weekend and bringing PJ out to somewhere in Europe. The promoters have a big risk on these things, and so I think people are going to start to figure out, okay, are they going more for the social aspect? What kind of event do we want to be? Whereas before, people would be like, well, I'm just going to put on an event, and because it's in Europe, we're going to sell it out, which was kind of an awesome thing. But in a general sense, I would say that the promoters are going to have a really big decision, not just to bring the event back, but what kind of event are they bringing back? Certain communities, whether we're saying Vancouver or Nashville or somewhere else in the States, or anywhere really, what has that individual community gone through
Yeah.
as far as their numbers go. And so you might be in a city like, we don't have a lot of swing dancing outside of Vancouver in this area. So I'm not sure what's going to happen when it comes back. You know, and that's kind of something we all have to figure out collectively, you know, and individually, each individual promoter, as far as what they want to try to bring back. You know, you swing for the stars or swing for the fences when things are back and there's not a lot of people coming. You put yourself into a tough spot as a promoter.
For sure. For sure. It's like no one knows what's going to happen, and it's really hard to tell. But at least, like, we can at least hope. But yeah, I feel you guys. Definitely.
Yep.
Before I ask my next question, I just wanted to check, is there anyone here who wants to ask a question?
Judging from that
For the
silence,
live Q&A.
you can unmute and actually ask.
Something just random here, because I got a notification when I woke up this morning from a memory of Swingcouver last year, and it was every year after Swingcouver, for those that can stick around and want to and whatever, I organize tickets to go see a Vancouver Canucks hockey game. And so last year there were 3 of us that went because there was 2 people, 2 wonderful, wonderful human beings from the land of Sweden. Andreas Danielsson and Claudia Bear came, and they stayed around for 3 days after the event, and I got a picture. And not only did it remind me obviously of the dance event, but we were in the hockey stadium with like 20,000 people. And so there's a bunch of mixed emotions that come up where you're like, at that point, you know, COVID was already going around and we didn't know, but we're all there and we're all out screaming at the hockey game. So just another layer to miss, you know?
Golly.
Go Canucks.
Back at the days when you could be together with 20,000 people at the same place. So
hell, the day you could actually hug somebody too.
Oh God.
yeah,
seriously.
man. Wow, I can barely imagine that, you know. But let's be positive. Come on, let's get back to positivity. Okay.
We have had a question, and they're very insistent on ask it. Decipher asks in the text. Really, Decipher, you're going to want me to ask this. Do you think, this is 2 pros, and this is a question you come up with. Do you think that the amount of West Coast swing babies will increase during 2021? That's not a wind-up. That's what's been asked.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I would probably, wait, shoot, you wanted me to be positive. I was going to say, I'll tell you what, I bet you the amount of babies will go up at the same rate divorces go up, you know?
I don't know. For some people, it is positive, but I'll shut up now.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I don't know. I mean, we've seen a couple already, but I don't necessarily think we'll see a huge correlation. I think when it comes back to dancing, I think based on probably the first 5 or 6 conventions that happen, we might see an uptick in babies right after that.
Wait a minute, time out. Are we talking about, let's clarify something. Are we saying that West Coast swing babies are newcomers, or are we actually talking about physical, actually gaga goo goo babies? What are we really talking about here?
Like pacifier in your mouth, like olive milk babies.
I think there's an increase of, you know, little curtain climbers all, you know, going around the place. Absolutely. You know, do I think there's going to be some newcomers definitely coming in? I mean, I think that's going to depend on how much local communities are going to advertise, like, hey, you've been cooped up, now let's do a new thing after, you know, this shit goes away. So I think that, you know, there could absolutely be a incline of West Coast swing newcomers in 2022 when we come back from things. I do believe that, yes.
How do you think we can do that? Actually, you brought up a very good point here now, PJ. What do you think we should do in order to gain more people than we lose after this whole thing is over?
I mean, honestly, it's just about revamping, about looking into what we do as a local community. You know, this is, you know, the West Coast swing, it does grow, you know, from national pros, from international pros. But the core of what grows West Coast Swing to me is your local professionals who's out there trying to train, who's trying to get their local community. It really falls down to me on local pros, regional pros, reaching out, gaining some type of community so those communities can come together, develop a good little West Coast Swing area. Then that starts to grow and grow and grow. I do believe that it's going to boil down to a lot more of, just in introducing local pros introducing West Coast Swing to your local area from your local pros. That's what's going to make this dance grow.
And
go on, John.
I was just going to say, I totally agree with Peach about that. I think what's really going to be hard is, again, it's really going to depend on how hard to hit each of those individual communities were. For example, I can only speak for obviously what I know, but I know in Vancouver, we lost, midway through 2020, we lost the biggest, I don't know if I want to call it supplier, but the biggest school that had been pushing West Coast Swing. Hold on, my cat's scratching the couch. Stop it. This is the joys of doing a thing from home. But, we lost our biggest school that was they'd have 50 to 60 people in each of their classes by, 4 or 5 classes a week. And then we lost another one of the biggest teachers to our area, moved out of Vancouver and over to Vancouver Island. And so when we come back, when dancing comes back and we're allowed to, there's going to be a huge, not necessarily void. It's obviously an opportunity for someone with if they want to take it, but there's still going to be a big void to fill in relation to the social dances that aren't going to be there, when things open back up, along with the group classes. So I totally agree with PJ. It's, going to be an opportunity for someone for here, but I'm going to imagine that other cities, depending on, how strict the regulations have been, are probably going to undertake a similar challenge, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think Chris has just brought up a point. Yuval?
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
No, Yuval, Chris has just posted here on the chat, and I think it's more or less been backed up by what John and PJ just said.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, here's my question. Once we're all vaccinated, can we have a safe festival again? What can we as a community do to bring everyone back that we lost to other hobbies, like they've just been talking about, like baking or running or plants or whatever? Think, how can we stoke the flames of dance to have a second roaring 20s that are so licentious, I believe, my grammar's terrible, that people remember them in 100 years. Well, I think, Chris, these guys already really answered that question. I think they've kind of covered that as well. Yuval?
Okay. So if anyone wants to jump in and ask a question, that's the time. If not, I'm going to the next one.
Again, a massive silence.
Okay, I'm going to the next one.
I love it.
So there is another thing I wanted to ask you about events. Now with people getting vaccinated, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about allowing only vaccinated dancers attend the event, or dancers with a negative COVID test that was taken, let's say, 72 hours prior to the event?
This one's gonna be a hard one to navigate as a promoter. I flat out don't have an answer for that right now. For a couple reasons. A, because I am personally a firm believer that I will get vaccine when it's available, for a number of reasons, but that's just where I personally stand. I also don't feel like hard to make someone do something, but you could say, like, sorry, if you haven't had a negative test or you're not vaccinated, we can't take that risk. I can see that could be a direction some promoters would go, but again, for me personally, I don't really know yet. I have a not just one business partner that Sarah and I would have a big decision in relation to Swingcouver, but Kyle and Lee would also play as far as big decision makers go in relation to Swingcouver. And I don't really know what answer I have yet. To be honest, I wish I did, but I don't have one.
You know, I think it's a great question, Yuval. I'm in the same boat. I don't have any questions. I'm going to say professionally about that. These are questions that have not come that has arrived yet because we're nowhere near that stage at all. So I do feel that it's a little bit of an unfair question to ask right now. However, I will say some of my personal opinions about the process. I think that it's really going to boil down of what is available in each individual state, what is available in what are the regulations for each individual county for having what are their regulations for having a massive amount of people or a group restrictions. What are your group restrictions? How many people are you going to have? Well, if you are able to have this, well, these are our rules by the county or by the state government or even by the federal government, because we got a lot of laws that we have to figure out, like what's going to happen. Like we have federal law, we have state law, we have county laws, we have city laws. So they're all going to be very, very different because, I live in Knox County in Knoxville, which I have different regulations in Knox County than I do in the city of Knoxville. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy when you figure out those type of things. Like, that's going to be a very, very hard navigated road. However, I also feel that, let's just say, for instance, there has been people who have ran events during some times of this, whether that has been in France, whether that has been in Arizona, whether that has been whatever. And because people have been doing something, people will come on and just, mob them. And if you run an event and you're running through regulations, but people don't agree with the regulations, then all of a sudden, what's going to happen with your event and the public? Like there's so many unanswered questions here. Again, that it's just a little bit of a unfair question because we can only look in a crystal ball right now and speculate. There's going to be a lot of opinions, but truth be told, we just won't know yet. So there's my long-winded personal answer to your question.
I've got one coming. Go on, Yuval.
Yeah, it's okay, Justin. Go on.
I've had someone call themselves Germany. They didn't give a name. They just put their location as Germany. Hey guys, I'm a big foodie. Wanted to know what your favorite food is okay, you have to list a lot here. What your favorite food is in Europe, Asia, USA, don't upset John, Canada, and also favorite drink or beverage as well. So
all right.
there you go.
PJ has 45 minutes on this question.
I totally can because I have been cooking. I'm a cooker now.
Let's go for Europe. I think that would be the best one.
I mean, I could tell you as far as all the places I've traveled, the food even though it's not in Europe, the food in Japan is just unbelievable. It's truly incredible. But as far as Europe goes, oh,
wow.
My mouth is watering now that I'm thinking about all this. Thanks a lot. As far as food in Europe goes, make sure that you order from Lisa Graydon. She has wonderful cakes and new brownies available. No, I'm just kidding, man. She does though. But anyway,
shout out to Lisa Graydon.
Really incredible stuff. I think what stands out to me more so is as far as the things that are cooked in Europe tend to be cooked with a lot less oily, I guess, or different oils are used than in North America. It seems like. But I think I'm a big fan of trying
a bit
some
less
of the
oily.
What's that?
I said they're a bit less oily than the US, but
That's exactly. But I do enjoy trying the kind of oddities in different places. Like I've tried duck heart, and I've tried frog's legs, and whatever. I don't care if you guys get mad at me, but The craziest thing I think I've ever tried from the sound of what it is, well, chicken cartilage was weird, but I had a burger in Sweden. That was made out of the meat from bull's testicles.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something like
What?
that.
A burger made from bull's testicle meat.
It tasted really good because that sounds
Actually, was
awful.
really freaking good. I'll be honest. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, but Justin, you're from the UK. There, the food is anyway awful. Like for you, everything would be good, I guess.
You know what? As he said it, I actually can't disagree. Unless someone listening in the UK wants to disagree. Yeah, the food is pretty bland and crap here.
Oh, wow. That was awesome. Okay.
I may regret that comment, and I've probably lost my entire audience in the UK now.
Yeah,
I
me
love you
too.
lots. Never getting hired in the UK ever again.
Oh, man, that is awesome.
Okay, PJ, you're up.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I have never been to Asia, so I can't speak for there. And John, I'm super jealous about how many times you've been over to Asia and about how you've been able to have those experiences. So hopefully one day I can get over across that pond, and test things out. You know, I could tell you my favorite foods, like from each individual country. I don't know if I could tell you what I have an absolute favorite from this place. I mean, there's nothing like pierogi in Poland. Like pierogi in Poland is amazing.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, damn, you get whether you have a full meat or vegetable type pierogi, or even if you have a dessert pierogi. Oh my God, it's just incredible.
True.
So there's so many foods I love over in Poland. You go to Hungary and it's just super comfort.
And you get hungry.
Yeah, you get hungry because it's very hearty comfort food. I love the paprika there. Like you get to you go to Germany, and it's, I mean, you get the schnitzel. You go to the breakfast in Europe is amazing everywhere. It don't matter where you go.
True.
You go to France. I mean, I remember this little bitty, tiny little restaurant in Lyon, France, that me and Tashina ate at, and they had the absolutely best duck, and the wine pan sauce was incredible. Oh my God, it was
Duck for breakfast.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say for breakfast, but like France has its own very amazing way of cooking. In the UK, if I had to do something in the UK, like I would definitely eat bangers and mash. I freaking love bangers and mash. Shepherd's pie. Go to Stalin and eat the haggis.
Have you ever tried Skagenröra, PJ?
Doesn't ring a bell.
All right, we'll work on that.
Okay.
Skagenröra.
So I as far as my favorite drink is concerned, I mean, obviously you go to Germany and it's the beer. You go to if I'm in Sweden at all, or Finland, I'm definitely going to go with Lonkero, not Mintu.
Oh, yeah.
If I go,
sorry, Mintu.
if I'm in France, I'm definitely going to have wine, whatever. So I think there's really interesting places. I will say probably the best food overall, like that I've had that I loved. Believe it or not, and this is not sucking up at all, but was Israel. I found the best food ever. And it didn't matter if it was a burger. It didn't matter if it was shashuka. It wouldn't matter if it was whatever it was. My daughter went with me the first time, and everything we had was absolutely incredible.
Completely agree.
And so that's probably, if I had to be a foodie, I would definitely go to Tel Aviv, and or hell, even up in Caesarea, up top.
Nice! You even pronounced it correctly.
It was incredible. And going up to the North Israel, where was that at? I want to say.
Did you go to Nazareth, maybe?
No. It's where the Bali Gardens are.
In Haifa.
Haifa, yeah. Oh my God, so good.
The food in Israel is definitely.
Anyway, that's my thing there.
I could only agree. We have a question from Nir here. He's asking, how do you think the next US Open will be in terms of amount of classic showcase competitors, mostly new or maybe more old couples? And what about you both? Are you planning or thinking of new routines in your future and with someone specific maybe? Or you already had it all?
So I will. I think that if the U.S. Open happens, because again, I think that is going to be an unknown. You know, I think that there are still a lot of people that can't dance. They can't meet. They can't meet up with choreographers. They can't meet up and dance together. I think that there are going to be a lack of couples at the U.S. Open if it happens this year. If it does happen, you know, I could look at this two different ways. I could say, well, damn, everybody is if it's go time, everyone will want to be doing something if they feel comfortable to go somewhere. And that's going to be a thing with the public overall. Like once the moment that everybody gets the green light to go, if the public feels good and okay, each individual person feels good to travel, then you're going to see a massive influctuation of a lot of, people at your events. So I think people will go out, they'll practice, they'll go do their thing. And the U.S. Open could be huge, or it could be absolutely, tiny, little, bitty, small. So I feel it could go one way or the other, just depending on how you look at it.
And how about you personally, in terms of routines?
I have a lot of songs that I would absolutely put a routine to. So I think that's something that I'm going to look into the future. We just have to see what happens.
And you have no specific partner in mind? Sorry, John.
I don't know. Sorry.
Me and Tashina still talked about doing some things together. This pandemic has put people in a very different place in their lives. Honestly, we're just gonna have to see how time plays out, because if I have to, and there may be a couple months down the road, I may have to go get a full-time job. I just don't know. When are events going to come back too? And so many events in 2020 lost so much money because they had to refund people. They had to pay all the processing fees to refund people. They had to do this. So now there's a ton of events that's in the hole. I know this is not really part of the question, but where am I going to be during that time? Honestly, this is the crystal ball question again. I don't know. I hope that I get this continue, and I plan on continuing to do this as my professional career for a very long time. I do plan on that. But you just kind of have to roll with the wave right now and just see what's going to happen, and I'm taking each day at a time. I'm taking each week at a time to see where we're going to be. So that's kind of that's my take on this right now. So I want to continue doing everything that I've been doing. Yes. But we're just going to see how time plays.
Yeah, I think PJ hit the nail on the head with that again. I mean, in relation to the next Open, and the chances could be, let's say the U.S. Open for all intents and purposes does happen. Yes, happens in 2021. There's a good chance it'll be the first event of the year. Who knows, right? Like PJ said, crystal ball. So it's possible that the U.S. Open could say, no, we're going to push through. We need to get the Open in. The Open is also a culmination of the work of the rest of the year. Of these other big events that people have gone to, and whether it's Mad Jam or whether it's, Boogie by the Bay or whatever the event is, and whether that's in Europe and getting those runs and being out in front of the audience and doing that kind of stuff. And so as far as this coming open, I think, it would be on the smaller side as far as couples go. And there's, again, to kind of dive back into like what PJ was saying about his local community versus the city of Knoxville versus the county and different stuff like that. Well, we're still like in Canada, it's not just, oh, can I go down to the States to go to the US Open? But for us, there's a mandatory 2-week quarantine that we have to go through. Anybody that's coming into Canada from outside of Canada, you have a 2-week quarantine. And so it's not just about going to the event, but it plays partly into that. And as far as me personally, actually, right before COVID, I had been talking with someone, not about going back to like crazy routines all the time and traveling every weekend to do these routines, but did talk to someone about doing a little bit of that. So we would see if that still held weight after all the time. But yeah, I don't know for sure. Again, it's crystal ball, like PJ was saying. Ideally, sure, it would be nice, but
yes, I agree. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be great, and PJ, I really hope that you guys will be able to continue what you guys are doing because the community needs you.
Well, believe me, I need them.
and I really hope that we'll see an open and event soon. But yeah, as you said, who knows what's going to happen this year? And yeah, John, you put up a really good point. Like if the whole year is not going on, and then only the US Open is the first event of the year, yeah, probably it's not going to be as big.
Mm-hmm.
And John, you did say something I fell to, which is about the Open is not just about the U.S. It's about the Open. It's about the world. And you're exactly right, man. Like, what are going to be the travel restrictions? We didn't even look at that kind of process. What are going to be the travel restrictions behind all this stuff? And wow, like that's a that's a big deal right there of how most events are going to run. So I think you're going to see, this may have been a question you guys talked about before I come on, but how events are going to, how are events going to start promoting and how events are going to start to do this? Like, I think that there may be a brand new rebirth about how we start to do West Coast Swing again. There may be a rebirth on how we start to handle events again. We know what worked before, but how can we take that now and do it better?
Exactly. It is something we touched on briefly. So I'm happy you chimed in there, Peach, about that, because it really has a lot to do with, what does the landscape look like? Because we don't know what the community does. Like we were talking a little bit about with the promoter thing too, right? It's just a different, we don't know what the landscape of the community is going to be whatsoever.
Yeah, I think international events are going to definitely take a huge hit. Well, let me say it this way. I think they're at all events. I think their numbers overall are going to not be nowhere near like they was beforehand, especially with travel restrictions. I think they're going to see a huge influx in regional, local and regional things. I'm sorry, attendees. I think that's going to be a huge thing. Sorry, my dog is barking at me, wanting me to throw frisbee because I am ignoring her and she don't like it. So she's yapping at me. So anyway, I think that you're going to see a huge influctuation with local and regional events, or events becoming more local and regional again. And then you'll start to see a slow growth with people now starting to become more and more nationally to certain parts of events. Beforehand, it was nothing for most people just to fly into Atlanta Swing Classic from all over the United States or hell, even all over the world. And, but now that's not going to happen depending on restrictions, depending on what airlines are going to ask for, depending on what buses are going to ask for, trains are going to ask for. It's going to be a lot of that stuff that happens. So, again, I think that local communities and event promoters, I think, need to really concentrate a little bit now more regionally instead of nationally and internationally.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's a ton of things I'd like to say about it, but we're getting questions from the audience, so I want to
awesome.
refer to them. Catherine from Germany is asking, what are your biggest pet peeves for leaders and followers? She asked it with a smiley at the end, so be nice.
Right. Well, I mean, as I'm assuming PJ probably will say too, like this kind of thing is obviously very particular, and I'm sure each pro will probably have certain things. I think I would say that one of my pet peeves for followers, and I'm talking social dancing right now, is when a follower throws their weight for the leader to just catch them. So when it's not communicated that there's a weight support coming up and it's just, I'm going to drop and you better catch me. To me, it's an irresponsible tool. It's the same as leaders yanking followers out and not really, like PJ was talking about, really pay attention to your partners so that you can see, feel, and hear exactly kind of where they're at. Really pay attention to them. But when followers drop, that drives me absolutely crazy. For both parties that get shared, and I do find this a little bit more, without coming across horribly rude, is I do find this more in Europe, is that when both partners are equally responsible to tracking the floor, meaning you're all responsible for making sure we don't run in. So your floor craft, run into other people, I should say. So the floor craft is really important, but I find people don't pay a ton of attention to making sure that they don't hit somebody. And I do find a little bit more in North America that they're a little bit more conscious of that. So those are definitely a couple of them. Leaders, like, just, and I'm guilty of this as well, but I know, I get really sweaty, especially, the bigger I've gotten. And I need to make sure that I remember to bring a couple shirts with me, so that it's not, and I don't mind being sweaty. I'm actually probably the least person that cares about it on the end of my arm. But as far as a leader goes, if it's starting to get to the point where they can't hold on to you and they're slipping down your arm because it's too much, then just bring a towel with you or change a shirt and you're all good.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's true. PJ, what are your pet peeves?
So some of my pet peeves, let's start with leaders first. All right. So leaders, John kind of already said this, is about, yanking the followers. Just knowing that you know what you want to lead and you don't trust the follower to do the job, and then you feel that you need to just, yank the piss out of her and able to get it to do it. Like, there's just no reason for that, so I think that it gets to a point, and so I say that to go into this, to kind of go into my major pet peeve. This is kind of my now umbrella, is just no partnership. I feel that, competition side of things, people are all about them getting to the next level. So then partnership is kind of thrown out the window. I feel that neither side trust each other to do it because they want to prove to the judges they're allowed, that they can get there on their own. And I think that has filtered into the social dancing. Well, then again, that filtered into huge pet peeve. I'm going to say the community in general is the damn clickiness that happens inside of leveling. I can't stand it. We are all going to a competition to do the same damn thing, and that is to dance West Coast swing with everybody. I feel that the clickiness that happened inside of dance events in general, that was a major pet peeve of mine on a leader and a follower side. So now to get a little bit more specific, so I got on the leader something specific. I want to get on the followers for something specific. Understand what delayed timing is and not a delayed one is. Let me elaborate. everybody's been told, like, you need to delay your one, which is fantastic. However, that delayed one will also affect count 2, which will also affect count 3. You need to understand how to control your timing. If you're going to delay the one, well, guess what? Count 2 is delayed too. So don't accelerate it unless I lead it, right? And if you do accelerate it, then communicate it. So my major issues have from most followers have came to, you're in my face when I don't want you to be in my face. I believe in a constant connection with a varied pressured or tension. So I want to feel you through the entirety of a basic. I don't want to feel you through just a 1 or just a 6, or your anchor, wherever that is for you. So those are some of my major pet peeves. When you're dancing with someone, don't try to impress them. Try to gain their trust. That's for kind of everybody. I feel that happens quite a bit with pros. Is people dance with pros and they try to do a lot to impress the pro, and I'm like, I'm not going to be impressed like by what you're doing to me. I'm going to be impressed like, how did you treat me? I don't give a damn what you're capable of. I just want to dance with you, especially when we're social dancing. I'm not working. I'm social dancing. That's what I want to do. So do that.
Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and just add one thing here is, and this is a competitive nature thing. When you watch the pros, when they do, there's certain actions that'll come up and they will look towards the audience, and you can call it critical timing or comedic timing, or however that plays out as far as the verbiage that you want to use. I find as dancers are coming up, one thing that drives me nuts is the gratuitous look to the audience. You're like, please show me love. You're like, but you didn't do anything to earn it. Just being on the floor, sure, we all deserve to get that respect, that people are going to pay attention, all that jazz. But I would just say that the gratuitous looks to the audience for those moments need to be earned. So it's definitely something that catches my attention on a relatively often basis in relation to competitions and stuff.
We've had 2 questions come in, and I think they match up really well with each other, actually. So Josephine Anderson from Sweden asks, how can a dancer of a low level get a dance with the pros? She finds it hard to get those dances due to the pros. Many times dances with other pros on social dances at events. I'm just reading this word for word. And then leaves the floor. Then Michael Gotzi has actually asked in chat, PJ mentioned dancing with everyone. How can we encourage people to be more comfortable dancing with others of higher, lower skill levels? So they kind of link up with each other.
Nice.
I mean, that does lend itself to some of the stuff PJ had talked about already in relation to clickiness, and that's regardless of whether it's a pro or if it's we can use that term vaguely as far as pro, right? Is pro doesn't really elicit a level of dancer, which I don't know if we're talking more so about someone who's just a professional or someone who's, let's say, a champion, whatever you want to call it. But in a general sense, I think one of the things I'll address, and this is not an excuse, but I can speak from personal experience, is man, the pros always dance together. And you may see that for, let's call it an hour and a half at a dance. You may see that with a couple of the pros. I can speak for myself when I say that, at least back when we were dancing, for the most part, I never saw any of these pros. And so, if I were to go and have 2 or 3 dances with, I don't know, Fabienne or Emmeline or Nini or whoever, I would say that, try to make sure you go up and ask them. And if you're not comfortable asking them, now you might go, well, they're always dancing with someone. Try to dance next to them. See if you can catch their eye. But don't stalk them around the floor. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's a cut and dry exact answer for how this would play out, but definitely don't stalk them around the floor.
Okay, so yes. Listen, everybody, ask, what's the worst thing that someone can say? No. Is that a personal attack on you? No. That's just meaning maybe I have been dancing for the past 2 hours straight. I may want to take a break, or this happens all the time. In I got so pissed off towards, leading up to the pandemic. I was actually, a little bit more of pushed away from social dancing, just because, like, I mean, I had somebody block me from going to grab my cup of water. And the woman blocked me from my water to say, "Oh no, I was next." And I'm like, "Look here, woman, back off." Like,
I had that happen
and
too,
the
Peach.
and the event director was actually right there, and I said, "This is the reason that why most of your pros don't come down here to dance, is because they're hoarded, or they're like." I know that wasn't the question. The question actually overall is, PJ mentioned everyone dancing. How can we encourage people to find comfort in dancing with higher, lower levels? But the whole goal here is, damn, again, ask somebody to dance. And if you ask them, then, and they say, "Give me 3 songs," and great, in 3 songs, be available. Someone is actually giving you that for a reason. Like, someone's come to me before, and I will, if I tell you 3 songs, I mean 3 songs. That doesn't mean go off and dance with somebody else. And if you ask somebody else, screw you, you just lost your time. Or if someone tells me that, I'm going to make sure that I am there in 3 songs. I do believe that, you need to stick by your word. If you're going to tell somebody, stick by it. I also believe that people need to be very humble, and I'm talking about higher level dancers here. Higher level dancers needs to be humble. They need to treat each dance, with trust. Where they need to treat every single dance as if you're there to make that person's night, and then learn from that. Learn from them. There's always something I'm learning on the dance floor, especially on the social floor. It's been my greatest teacher of all time. Has been the social floor with everyone of all levels. I am there to dance West Coast swing. You got all night to dance, right? And that's where that's at. So I think everybody needs to have a little bit of humble pie and dance with everybody on the floor. Period.
I think we're going to look to wrap up after these next 2 questions. One from Heidi in Seattle, which is a really nice one, and one from Chuck Brown.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's do Heidi from Seattle. I think it's a really nice wrap. What do you both miss most about dancing, and who do you miss dancing with the most? And I'm going to add a little bit to Heidi's question from Seattle. What are you looking forward most to returning to? Is it the dancers, the music, the feeling, the food, traveling? So the question was from Heidi, who do you miss dancing with the most? And I'm going to say, what are you both looking forward to getting back into the dance as well?
Well, that's a big one. Wants to go first?
I mean, one of the things I miss the most, because there's different strengths that each pro brings to the table, just like any other job, like any other skill set, like anything. You have, and some of them carry a bunch of these skills all together, and some of them are more specialized, each individual person. And for me, one of my biggest things that I miss, that I love, that I thrive on, is that interaction in group classes. I don't care if it's 8 people in the class or 300, but I love that genuine interaction with people in the moment. I love the laughter in group class. I love epiphany moments. I love hard work that goes into it. But I miss not just being in a group class. I miss that realization, that those aha moments that we get to experience together. I miss the laughter together, and that's a huge thing for me in almost why I decided not to pursue an online presence for me coaching, and just that I thrive so hard off that individual yet also group mentality, but that person to person connection in that way. And I think for me overall, I miss that. I miss that a lot. And to be honest, although it might seem obvious to all of us, but as far as a lot of these pros go, I don't live near any of the other pros. Miles and Tessa are kind of close, but we don't see each other that often. And my friends that are super close, or they're super close, like people to me, I don't live anywhere near them. So I miss seeing some of my closest friends that I've had for, 18 or 20 years, and people like PJ. Definitely, I miss that. And I think the thing I'm looking to the most is honestly just a bunch of hugs. I'm looking forward to
Damn
so
you!
many
You stole my
hugs.
answer.
I'll
I
tell you
couldn't
what,
say that
I feel
again.
like PJ, I'll tell you what. I have a feeling that the first couple conventions back are going to be filled with not just a little bit of crying, but so much crying. And like, I bet you there'll be less dancing at that convention than at any other convention. People are going to spend so much time getting back to the place of where they actually want to say hi to each other and hug each other and tell stories and drink Mintu.
I 100% agree with you, John.
Mintu too.
I think that there's definitely going to be a lot of that happens as well. I think that there's going to be a new purpose that people will probably travel, and they're going to go to an event with a new purpose, and hopefully we can maintain that. That's one thing I would love to do is see that grow and say, oh my God, this people was taking away from me. Now what can I do to be more involved with those people?
Yeah, for sure, buddy.
I think that events need to hold that. I think events need to hold that time instead of trying to fill every single thing we can. That's some of our faults. Like I'll say this: like if you ever come to Atlanta Swing Classic, we have, from 9 a.m. our first class, we have something on the schedule every single time. We have 4 ballrooms going at a time. There's always something happening and something that we may look into later on is wow, let's create an actual social time. There's some events that do that, and it's incredible.
Completely agree with that part, buddy. Completely.
So
how about PJ's Corner at events?
Yeah, PJ's Corner, man. That's something that exactly what this is about. PJ's Corner. John, I don't know if you heard that interview I did with Yuval or not, but there's something that I want to do. It's called PJ's Corner, and it's about getting to know everybody at the event, whoever wants to go. I'm going to pick a time on a piece of the weekend, whether it's a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever. And I'm just going to go to the bar and I'm going to put this open to say, we're not talking about dancing. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about your life. I want to talk about what kind of drink do you like? What's your favorite food? Hey, let me buy you a beer, or whatever that favorite drink is. I want to actually get to know people and develop relationships. I do believe that that's how you get through life.
Totally, it couldn't come at a better time, really, as far as that going. And I think you may have missed this little tidbit at the start. Is you were talking also about the local level teachers and how important your local pros and how important they have to be. And one of the things that kind of goes with that and that gets lost to me anyway, at the bigger conventions is go out with your students or your friends after dancing so that it's not only just about this dancing business and that you actually get the time to really connect. I did that for when I had groups up here for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. We had groups. We had groups of, I don't know, 12 to 20 of us on a relatively regular basis that would go out. We'd have dinner. We'd hang out and chat about different stuff that wasn't always dancing. And sure, obviously dancing gets brought up at the commonality.
Yeah, of course.
But just like you said, man, it really developing that. I think PJ's Corner sounds awesome. I'll have my opposing corner to yours. We'll call it the Blame Canada Corner. And yeah, no, you're spot on, buddy. Spot on. I'm curious, PJ, what do you miss the most about conventions and stuff?
I honestly, there's been so many things that I've kind of thought about this particular question over a period of time. Like, what is it that I actually miss? Believe it or not, I miss people overall. I have my own little things, like you said. We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses, but I'm such an extrovert, and I recharge through people. I need to be around people. I miss I need to interact with people. Thank God that I have my wife and my 2 kiddos that I've been able to interact. Because I'm going to tell you, if I've been on my own this whole time, I'd have been a mess. but I really do just in general miss people. I miss traveling. Believe it or not, I do miss getting on a plane. I miss getting on a plane. I miss the adventures of getting lost in an airport or getting lost in Europe.
How about PJ when we got lost last year in at the end of Switzerland? It took us like an hour and a half to find a movie theater.
Wow.
On those little riders,
we're the worst travel buddies ever.
It's those little things. It's those experiences. That's what I miss. I think the most is the people and the experiences that I got to do. And please don't get me wrong, John. I totally agree with you. I desperately miss teaching overall. I miss coaching overall. I miss those boom moments, if you will. I miss the socializing. I miss the dancing. I think all of these are of equal value to what I miss the most. But I do miss the people and then everything that comes with that. The experiences that I get to do. That's what I definitely miss the most. I miss my practice time, with my buddies. I miss practicing with Tashina. We had some really great times and again, developing experiences and developing, your skill set. I miss training. I was training 4 times a year with Robert Royston. I would actually travel to New York and go train with him. And I miss my friend. I miss my mentor. You're exactly right, John. I miss my peers. Spending those quality times with my peers has been amazing. And I miss that desperately. Not to talk about negatively about this, but I do miss this. I miss, those are the things I really do miss most, about having kind of all the shit kind of stripped away. And now we get to rethink about how we can bring that back and do it better. That's kind of where I am on all of this. Who do I miss dancing with the most? Not the single. I do miss dancing with my peers the most. I will say that. Not to single any one particular person out. I don't really want to do that right now, but I miss all of them. I do for their own reasons. So there you go.
Yeah. I definitely miss all of just being around the peers like that and getting a chance to just feel a little bit of that triple step.
Yeah.
We're finished on this one. Oh, go on. Sorry, John. Carry on.
Great wife. Well, she's. I don't know. She's just. Lucky.
Yeah,
I guess.
Justin, do you want to read the question so everyone can hear it?
So the question that John was answering. So Chuck Brown from Oregon. Don't know who he is. Why is PJ? Never heard of the guy. Why is PJ so bad at foosball? I'm going to put in a question from Miguel as well. He said, Miguel says, have you improved your shuffleboard skills, PJ? And then obviously Chuck asked, how did John find such a great wife? So Yuval, I'll leave you to sort out the final question for me.
I have no idea how to handle this one. Go ahead, guys.
All right. So ultimately, I played foosball a lot, so much when I was a kid, and I got pretty good at it. So challenge is out there.
Have you ever played against Chuck?
Oh yeah, I've kicked his ass. Like Chuck sucks at foosball. But don't play Chuck in table tennis either. Chuck is really freaking good at table tennis. Along with the other, 1,400, professional jobs he's had. And so it's just no, Miguel, I have not really improved on my shuffleboard skills. We got together in Gävle, Sweden. Me and Miguel. Justin, you remember this? But
yeah,
we actually went out to a bar. It was actually an Irish pub in Gävle, Sweden. And we ate dinner there. It was very American, if you will. So I'm sitting there eating, my hamburger with my hands and all this stuff, and everybody's got a fork and knife, and they looked at me. I was like, why y'all eating a burger with a fork and a knife? And anyway, it's kind of funny. But we ended up Miguel whooped me at some shuffleboard, so I've definitely got to improve upon my shuffleboard skills. But I will say, in foosball in Europe, they play with a very different type of ball in foosball. Here, we have a very, very hard plastic ball, and that's what I was used to. So I went to France. Olivier and Virginie have a dance event called Rolling Swing, and I played. This hotel had a foosball that was there, and I got to play foosball with a lot of guys from France, and it was a very different type of ball. It was actually a cork ball. I have never seen a cork ball,
and
so
it wasn't rolling.
Oh my God! No, it completely rolled. It just had so many different reactions that I completely did not expect. And so, yeah, playing with a cork ball is a very, very different process than playing with a hard plastic ball. So I did get
that's
my
the way to
butt
beat
whooped
you in
France.
football.
Yes, I guess.
I'll tell you what, though, it sure as shit don't go throwing hatchets with PJ because he'll crush you.
This is very true. This is very true.
Throwing hatchets I was impressed. I'll tell you that, my friend.
So, John, how did you find such a great wife?
I got very lucky. Chuck's known my wife longer than I have.
Personality.
I don't know but yeah, well, those are different stories. We, I don't know. Chuck's known her a long time. They've been good friends for a very long time. But yeah, Lee and I met at Palm Springs at one of Jay Byam's kind of big parties that he had up in his suite. And I obviously had my eye on her prior to that, but we'll just keep those little tidbits of information to myself for now.
Too late for that.
And actually,
awesome.
just as a quick reminder, I don't know if she popped on to say hi or not, but I'm just getting a few messages from lovely Sarah Van Drake as we have some swing cougar work we're going to get done with Andreas and Kyle. And just as a reminder that we have that going next Saturday, everybody, from I think it's from 2 to 4 Pacific time, but the promos will be up on Facebook and stuff like that. Anyway, I'll shut up about that.
No, it's okay. It's cool. It's. I hope everyone will be there.
And I think, are we going to wrap it up now, Yuval, or do we have any other questions?
Do you want to do the last question from Basti? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, okay. It's Sebastian, Vienna, Austria. Have you found any new hobby due to the all the freed up time you guys have got?
I mean, I mentioned for those of you that were here at the start, I started a whole new career path as well, at least something to take part in with dance. So that's one thing. But as far as hobby, I got really, really into fantasy football. And please, Europeans, don't get mad at the usage of the word football to a game that barely uses their feet. But yeah, with like
you have fantasy football for your football? Wow.
American football, yeah. So it's there's a bunch of dancers in the group. I'm gonna forget people, but McHenry's in there, and Forrest is in there, and there's a bunch of other people. Ryan Crutcher, there's a bunch of us. I know I'm forgetting people, but yeah, it's been great to get into. It's helped kind of keep my mind onto something else. But yeah, that's been kind of about it. Canadian football, we also do have Canadian football. We have a bigger field, longer field, wider field, and one more player on the field as well.
Wow.
PJ, how about you?
Hobby. I've kind of experienced with a lot of different hobbies, actually. I actually got really heavy into archery for a little while. That was really fun for me. That was actually a little therapeutic for me. It was incredible. I'd actually, believe it or not, I hope, some people don't hold this against me, but I have never shot a bow and arrow before this year or this past year, before March. And so the first time I had a buddy of mine that started he used to do tournaments a lot, and so he started to teach me a little bit about it and what to look at, how to do it, how to hold, how to stand. how to aim, how to do all this stuff. And man, I fell in love with it. I literally went out and shot probably, 100 arrows a day.
Awesome.
Therefore March, April, and May. And I got really heavy into it. And then I started having some shoulder problems, not due to the archery, but I ended up having to have a surgery done back in August to fix a bicep tear that had actually been, God knows how long it's been tore. But I ended up with two problems. I had a tendon that was extremely damaged just from wear and tear of the body. Had a bicep tear. So I went through a surgery in late August. So that kind of put a halt to all of my archery. So I haven't really shot since then. I'm still in strengthening of the arm and the shoulder.
How are you feeling now?
Oh, it's actually great now. I mean, I have full range of motion. I'm just very weak. So that's the only thing is my shoulder, and I can feel how
because
weak
of the
that
inactivity.
Right. Hell, they had to cut the muscle open. So when they cut the muscle, it's just taking time to heal, and then you just got to regain its strength back. So I got into bowling a little bit. There's been times where I've been actually able to go bowling, and they're very, very restrictive on that. But I could only go a few times. But I started to get into darts, so I bought a dart board. I put it up in my garage, and so I've been able to play darts for a while. That's been awesome. And a lot of Nintendo Switch. They've got some new games that came out. So Assassin's Creed, Zelda, all that kind of stuff. I've been playing the piss out of that stuff. So
I'm slowly but surely getting into playing the harmonica. And when I say slowly, I mean I've touched it twice. But
oh, okay.
next time you have me and PJ on there, I'll play some harmonica for everybody.
That's like deal.
Every time I interview someone and ask them about their new hobbies, it's getting weirder and weirder as time goes by. I wonder what it's gonna be like in a few months from now.
Hey, listen, you got a bunch of eclectic artists that's in this world. Of course it's gonna get weird, man. That's the point.
We got nothing to do right now. You're telling all these artists are going nuts. They're like,
I love it.
So Justin, how were your times?
I think we've gone over our buffer, but I think now it's coming up to 9 o'clock UK time, and we're pushing on to the afternoon in the West Coast, and they're waking up in Asia now. But I want to say thank you to both John and PJ for their time today. It's been fantastic to hear so many wide-ranging views. You guys have brought so much. I think at one point across Facebook, YouTube, and on the server itself, we had 60 to 75 people all in listening, asking questions. I was sort of making the counts. A huge thanks to Andreas and Toppy and Yuval for putting this idea together. Without you guys, we couldn't have done this, and I want to thank you. But particularly to John and PJ, some of these insights have made me laugh out loud. Some of the stuff about how you say you're missing stuff. So I want to say thank you to both you and John for giving up your time for free today and letting us involved. I'm sure everyone on the server and across YouTube and Facebook appreciate that.
I know. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Justin, and it's been great to really appreciate being involved. So I thank you for thinking of me to have me around, Peach. It's been absolutely wonderful to get a chance to even catch up, at least on this platform, for a little bit. Miss you, buddy.
Yes, that's same here, John. I miss you dearly, man, and I miss our times. I miss our beers together. We're gonna give each other a hug, and then we're gonna go have a beer. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yuval, is there anything you want to say to close off or not?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you, PJ. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for your time. It was great for me. Like, really, I enjoyed every moment of it. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Like, it's amazing support we got here. Thank you so much for this. I miss everyone. I miss events. I miss seeing you guys. Really.
And listen, I would love to do this again. This has been a huge thing for me. This boosts me mentally, and it boosts me, so I appreciate everything that you guys do. That's enough pleasantries. I know we say thank yous and love yous and blah blah blah, but I would love to do this again if you guys would have me back.
I think what we may do, Yuval,
We definitely might, yeah.
I think we might just have, instead of just having 2 pros on, you guys have shared so many interesting stories that I didn't know about, that maybe we bring on 3 to 4 or 5 pros, which should be fun to control all you guys, and see if we can get some to see if we can actually organize chaos and see if we can do it. But I think we're looking to do this monthly. Yuval and I have been discussing it, and once we get the technology sorted out, definitely. We'll definitely be looking to do it. Going to play some music in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Has anyone got any final questions before we go? Because literally we're wrapping up. That would be a big fat no then.
PJ, PJ, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite memory and or story for you and I?
Oh, good.
Wow.
I have one in my head. But I'll let you go first.
I honestly, like, me and you, I'm not gonna lie, dude. This past year at Zurich was awesome with me and you staying together and on that last night and getting lost in Zurich on those damn bikes, and then my bike broke down and we ended up having to buy a cab and take it the rest of the way.
The cab couldn't find us at first.
But buy a cab? Did you buy
Yeah, we bought a cab. But honestly,
I imagine you, PJ, starting to work as a taxi driver in Zurich.
I had a memory that popped up not too long ago, John, and it was actually us dancing on top of that roof in FinFest. That was really epic. And getting that time with you, with Alyssa, Stephen White, Sonia Desirol, Tashina, like doing all of those things, that was just really cool. That was a really vivid thing that we got to do. God, WOTP talks that we've had at the dance event outside, and yeah, dude, like we ended up a couple of years ago. It was at the resort, and me and you sat out on that little landing and just had a freaking cool discussion about our takes and some views about some of our theories and concepts, and that to me was just a huge quality time of me and you together.
That for where you mentioning the space in Finland as a little note to the story for everybody. We're all I think it was the 10 or 11 o'clock workshop. It was early-ish in the day anyway. And PJ was teaching with Tashina on one side in one ballroom, and Alyssa and I were teaching on another. And the fire alarm went off, and everybody had to leave the building. And we took all of the students back and around into the parking lot on it was kind of a rooftop, but not that high. Anyway, whatever. And we all did a combined workshop out in the parking lot. It was amazing.
It was incredible.
It was amazing. And PJ, one of the other ones that stands out for me is in 2015, I was about 3 weeks away from getting married, and they had as WOTP tends to do, they have a costume contest. Not a contest, a dress-up night. Like a lot of events in Europe, all over, they have their dress-up nights, and the theme, if I'm not mistaken, was 70s. Well, PJ looked amazing, and he had this crazy awesome suit, and he did, but I'm getting married in 3 weeks, and I want to take part in it, but I wanted to take part in it by shaving the facial hair into this really awesome, like, 70s style mustache or whatever. And PJ's goading me on. He's, you gotta come on, you gotta shave this. And I'm like, I gotta call the wife. So I had to call Lee. Well, she wasn't the wife yet, but I had to call Lee to make sure that it was okay. And PJ ended up shaving a bunch of that beard for me. Anyway, it was an awesome experience.
I shaved the pork chops on your face.
Sure did.
And John, did you ask her whether she'd still marry you without a beard?
Well, her biggest thing was she just needed a guarantee from me that my facial hair would grow back in time to enough of a beard that it would be okay, and that I wouldn't look like I was trying to do a 70s, porno or something.
That was so great. God, that's so right. Oh, I love talking about these memories.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, FYI, questions for Yuval and Justin to ask your future pros. What is the best memory that you guys have together?
Oh, I'm already coming up with a format. I'm blown away by these stories. I've got a whole new format for you, Val.
You're exactly
PJ,
right.
and then we're gonna ask him what are their best memories from PJ and John.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll be hell yeah.
Well, look, I think those memories, and what an awesome question to ask, John. Thank you very much for asking that. That was a brilliant way to finish.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everyone for joining us. And I don't want a hex squeaking in the corner, but it's hilarious. But anyway,
that's my dog. Sorry.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I just thought someone was having sex with a squeaky toy. But the fact of the matter is, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to wrap this up now. Thank you ever so much, John and PJ. And yeah, definitely, we'll do it again with more people, more chaos, and definitely way more stories. Yuval.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, that's it, I think. If anyone wants to add anything, it's now or never.
Thanks again. Have a great day, you guys.
Take care, everyone. And I'll just play some music out.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.